You really think I led you on? That was the message that lit up my screen at 1:12 a.m., sharp and unexpected, almost accusatory. And just like that, the night shifted. My room, dimly lit by the glow of my laptop, felt suddenly smaller, tighter. I hadn't even touched the phone yet, but a strange tension settled in my chest, the kind that makes you sit up a little straighter without realizing it. Before we get started, be sure to subscribe to Family Tales by Ethan so you never miss out on these fascinating true stories. And let us know in the comments what you're watching today. The thing is, that message didn't come out of nowhere. It was the spark sitting on top of weeks, maybe months, of slow-burning confusion. And before I explain how everything unraveled, you need to know this. I wasn't the guy who chased people around like a lost puppy. At least, I didn't used to be. Somewhere along the line, though, I started orbiting around one person without even noticing how far I'd drifted from myself. Her name was Madison Carter. We met through friends at a barbecue last summer, the kind where everyone pretends they're relaxed but keeps checking if the burgers are burning. She arrived late, hair a little messy from the wind, holding a cup of iced coffee like it was her lifeline. And somehow, before the evening even ended, she'd already blended into the group like she'd always been there. She was sharp, funny in a quick, clever way, and had this warm, thought-out-loud laugh that made people turn just to see what the joke was. I didn't fall instantly. Truth is, it was much slower, like watching paint dry, but somehow liking it. Movie nights with mutual friends, late-night drives after stressful days, trading dumb memes during work hours. All of that built something soft and familiar between us. Or at least, I thought it did. Madison had this way of making you feel like you were the only one in the room, even when she didn't mean to. And I, being the hopeful idiot I was, let myself read too much into it. Over the months, I started doing things for her. Not grand gestures, just thoughtful ones. She mentioned her favorite Thai place once. I took her there on her birthday. She said she liked walking by the river when she was stressed. Suddenly, I found myself driving 30 minutes out of my way just to join her. She never asked for any of it, but she never turned it down either. And that was where the lines started blurring. Because she'd lean her head on my shoulder during movies, call me her favorite person, send long voice notes about her day, and laugh in this soft, leaning in way that felt like more than friendship. If you asked any of our mutual friends, they'd have sworn we were 2 weeks away from dating. But intentions matter. Actions matter more. And clarity? Well, that was the one thing she never gave. Everything cracked on a rainy Monday afternoon. I remember it so clearly because I had just sat down at a tiny cafe downtown, steam rising from my cup like it was trying to escape the conversation I didn't know was coming. My phone buzzed. A simple message. I really like you, but I think we should just stay friends. I read it once, then again, and again, until the words started to feel like static. I wasn't heartbroken, not exactly. What I felt was something quieter, duller. Like embarrassment mixed with disappointment. Like being the only one who showed up to a two-player game. I didn't reply right away. I stared at the rain sliding down the window and tried to locate what I was supposed to feel. Anger? Maybe. Sadness? Probably. But what settled in first was a strange calm. Like someone had finally said out loud a truth that had been floating between us for months. After a long minute, I typed, "Thanks for being honest." Short, clean, polite, and, honestly, the only thing I had the energy to say. That was the moment, right there, that everything shifted inside me. I didn't throw a tantrum or type out some dramatic paragraph. I just breathed, out for what felt like the first time in weeks. Because maybe deep down, I had known this was coming. Maybe I'd been bracing myself for it without even admitting it. So I made a quiet promise, one I didn't say out loud because saying it would have made it feel too dramatic. If Madison wanted to be just friends, fine. I'd treat her exactly like one. No more special treatment. No more bending over backward. No more reading between the lines of every smile or text. The first morning after was when the new routine really began. I woke up, reached for my phone out of habit, and stopped halfway. Usually, I'd send her something dumb, some meme about coffee addiction or a picture of my breakfast pretending to be gourmet. But that day, I put the phone down. I made eggs. I let the silence sit between us. And it felt oddly freeing. Uncomfortable, sure, but freeing. Little did I know that the moment I stopped orbiting her was exactly when everything for her, and between us, began to crack. And that's where this part of the story begins. The next few days were a strange exercise in self-restraint. I replied to Madison's texts, but only when I felt like it. No rush, no overthinking, no rehearsed charm. Hey, want to grab coffee later? She'd ask. Can't today, maybe another time. Just busy with some stuff. Polite, friendly, distant. And with each passing hour, the tension that had quietly clung to me for months started to lift, like fog burning off a morning lake. It was awkward at first, like learning to walk normally after limping for too long. Every text, every call, every casual encounter felt like a test of my own patience. I had to fight the urge to reread every single message, to analyze every laugh, every glance, every tiny gesture. But slowly, almost imperceptibly, the balance returned. And in that quiet, subtle shift, I discovered an unfamiliar sense of freedom. Madison noticed it almost immediately. A casual remark first, sent late one night. You've been really quiet lately, everything okay? I stared at the screen for a long moment before typing back. Yeah, all good. Just been busy. That was all. Simple. Neutral. Nothing dramatic. But she didn't stop there. There were missed calls, one at midnight, another the next morning, and then a flurry of small, offhand texts. An accidental, oops, wrong button, that revealed a flustered curiosity. She wasn't used to me not orbiting her anymore. The dynamic we'd established, the silent choreography of her comfort and my constant attention, had been disrupted. And I could feel it in every subtle shift of her tone, every casual but pointed observation. She began dropping hints, small, almost innocent comments that tugged at memories I didn't realize I'd been holding on to. Met this guy from work today. He's nice, but not as thoughtful as you. Or, oh, this new friend took me out for dinner, but he totally forgot to ask what I wanted first. You'd never do that. I smiled, texted a lighthearted, haha, sounds like you had fun though. Nothing more, and moved on. No overthinking. No eagerness to reclaim the version of myself that existed solely to please her. And apparently, that calm detachment unsettled her. I could sense it in the way she lingered in conversations longer than usual, in the way she arrived slightly late to hangouts, draped in the same perfume I used to compliment months ago. It wasn't an act on my part. I wasn't trying to manipulate her or prove a point. I was just reclaiming my life. Politeness without obsession. Interest without desperation. Laughs shared with others, stories given their space, smiles that didn't seek approval. And she responded, not with genuine reflection or new effort, but with subtle attempts to regain the attention she had quietly lost. The first major sign came when she began posting on social media more actively. Sad quotes, black and white selfies, nostalgic memories hinting at missing the old times. Before, I would have responded immediately, poring over every word, wondering if I could repair some imaginary connection. Now, I just reacted with a heart emoji and moved on. No chase. No overinvestment. Just observation. I started seeing her for what she truly was, rather than the version I'd built in my head. Someone who thrived on attention, subtle validation, and emotional comfort, without offering reciprocity in the form of commitment. And in that realization, the final pieces of embarrassment and self-doubt fell away. I wasn't hurt because she didn't care for me the way I'd hoped. I was hurt because I had allowed my own expectations to cloud my judgment. I remember one particular evening during a group hangout. Madison laughed louder than usual, touched my arm in that familiar, friendly way, as if nothing had changed. I met her gestures with polite acknowledgement, but no special warmth. Across the table, I joined conversations with others, laughed at jokes I hadn't noticed before, shared stories. Her reaction was subtle at first, brief glances, slight adjustments in posture, but soon became more pronounced. Then came the tipping point, a photo she tagged me in on Instagram. A throwback from last summer's beach trip, cropped to show only us, smiling and laughing, as if the rest of the friends had been erased. The caption read, "Some people show you what genuine care looks like. Thank you for everything, Alex," as a grateful throwback. Every comment reinforced the narrative she was quietly pushing. Are you guys back together? Finally, you two were so cute. My stomach sank, not from jealousy, but from the realization of the manipulation behind the innocent facade. I didn't engage, didn't like it, didn't comment. I opened our chat and typed, "Hey, can you please remove my tag from that post?" Her reply was defensive, but I stayed calm. Emma, it's misleading. People think we're together. I'd appreciate it if you respected that. 10 minutes later, the tag disappeared. Peace returned, quiet and complete. For the first time, I wasn't reacting. I wasn't trying to reclaim attention or mend a bond that never existed as I imagined it. I was living in my reality, not hers. And that small act of self-possession, that boundary set firmly but politely, triggered a shift that Madison didn't anticipate. The roles had reversed. She no longer held the influence over me that she once did. And that's where the real turning point of this story begins. Months passed quietly. Madison became more of a ghost in my digital life. Muted, out of sight, out of mind. And for the first time in a long time, life felt lighter, freer. I focused on myself. Hit the gym again, rediscovered hobbies I'd neglected, even signed up for a short design course I had been putting off. I spent more time with friends who didn't drain me emotionally, who laughed with me instead of demanding constant attention. Nights felt quieter but comforting, mornings brighter, and meals tasted fuller because I was savoring them instead of scrolling for notifications. Then, life threw something unexpected in my path, someone who didn't require me to perform or chase validation. Her name was Lily Thompson, and we met through a small marketing project at work. She was independent, witty, grounded in a way that made every conversation effortless. She didn't need constant reassurance, grand gestures, or displays of devotion. She valued honesty, effort, and presence, the simple things. Our connection was immediate but natural. Coffee breaks turned into walks in the park, laughter over inside jokes, long discussions about nothing and everything. There were no tests, no unspoken rules to decipher. I could just be myself. And with that, I realized what love actually felt like. It wasn't anxiety-inducing. It wasn't a maze where you had to prove your worth constantly. It was effortless, comforting, reciprocal. I wasn't performing. I wasn't hoping she'd notice small gestures and validate me. We simply existed together, equally, with care and mutual understanding. Of course, Madison noticed. It was almost predictable. A few hours after I posted a casual photo of Lily and me at a small rooftop cafe, smiling over coffee, my phone rang. Unknown number. Hesitation for a brief second, then recognition. Alex. The voice was fragile, cracked with emotion. You're dating someone now? Yes, I am. Her name's Lily. She's really nice, I said calmly, letting the words hang. A long silence followed, the kind where someone struggles to gather their breath, where guilt and regret ripple through every pause. Then, she admitted it. Alex, I messed up. I didn't realize what I had until you stopped caring. I miss you, can we talk? Maybe try again. I listened quietly, not out of pity but closure. And when she finished, I spoke with measured calm, the voice I had been cultivating over months of self-reflection. Emma, I appreciate what you're saying, but I don't think you actually miss me. I think you miss the attention. You miss how I made you feel. What you're feeling isn't love, it's regret. And that's okay. We all learn from it. But I can't be the lesson you keep coming back to. No shouting, no anger. Just finality. Just clarity. Her sobs were audible, ragged breaths between shaky words, but I stayed silent. I had learned the hardest lesson, that sometimes the strongest act of love is knowing when to walk away, even from someone who once meant the world to you. When I hung up, I felt nothing at first. The quiet apartment around me, the faint hum of city lights outside, felt like a sanctuary rather than a prison. And in that stillness, a new understanding settled in. The ending had already happened months ago, in every small choice, every quiet withdrawal, every refusal to orbit her world at the cost of my own. That final conversation wasn't a dramatic climax. It was simply the last stitch in a tapestry that had been coming undone for a long time. I stepped onto the balcony, the cool night air brushing past my face. The city lights flickered below like distant stars, indifferent and constant. And I smiled, not the triumphant, victorious kind, but a quiet, peaceful smile that comes when you've stopped fighting battles that were over long ago. For months, I had thought that tiny text, "Thanks for being honest," was for her. But in truth, it was for me. It marked the beginning of reclaiming my own life, my own peace, my own worth. Walking away doesn't make you weak. It makes you human. It makes you strong. And as I leaned against the railing, feeling the weight of a chapter closed yet lighter than ever, I realized Losing someone isn't always the end. Sometimes, it's the beginning of finding yourself again. And that's the story of how I stopped chasing shadows and started living my own life.